Amish Country, the kickoff point for the 2022 No Limits season. While those who abide by simple traditions make their living with a pacifist nature, the common thread of hard work runs between them and those who ride high on the iron horse. Really a beautiful part of the country to kick off our 2022 monster truck coverage. Shipshewana, Indiana, here at the MEC. We've really enjoyed our stay here in the Midwest, but not a normal field for this part of the country. It's a group of 6 of the best from the Northeast coming after one of the toughest in the Midwest, and that Northeastern field includes the redesigned higher education pool bus this weekend driven by Richie Yatsko and his teammate R.J. Turner right now taking his first ride in Overkill Evolution, the driver normally at the wheel of War Wizard. But as I said, they're going after one of the toughest in the Midwest, that being Alan Fenstermaker driving Mark Andrews' Wicked Sickness Ford, who has definitely shown off here this weekend in fine fashion. That first hit wasn't quite what he was looking for, but the second one definitely set the bar. Straight up and down the beautiful newly wrapped Wicked Sickness Ford out of the Show Me State, taking on the Northeasterners. Now one of the toughest old liners, the legendary Mike Vodders out of Hagerstown, Maryland. He came to play this weekend, definitely trying to get himself back up in that upper echelon after the last couple of years kind of off the pace, not getting to do everything they wanted with everything that's gone on in the world. Now here in 2022, he's looking for big things, and that wasn't all. When the truck didn't clear that race ramp from the back, he took another shot at it. Mike showing he still has the knack in these arenas. That's where he started. That's where he made his bones with the Thunder National Series. He's still got what it takes to go big. Plain crazy, Montana Robbins, the Empire Flyer, the younger of the brothers Robbins, definitely raised the bar with this run. We did not get to see him do much of this last year, but working on his stop. He's not quite what he was looking for, but it showed that he was ready to bring it here this weekend, and it raised the bar for his brother, which Bob says drives him nuts, because if Montana does it, Triton's got to do it just a little bit better. Triton driving the Crazy Train, the Eddie Chassis Machine, almost identical trucks in many ways, but very different driving styles between the two brothers. Triton lining up for that popper ramp. Gets the moonwalk, and that's the thing that he really seemed to perfect in 2021, and that was enough to take the opening night Wheelie Championship, and he would carry that momentum on into racing, and in racing, as we move right on into the championship round, very fitting, it was none other than Triton and Montana in that final round race, as they staged up this pair of high horsepower Eddie Chassis machines out of Lawtons, New York. Bob looking on from the tunnel. Pick your favorite, because it was anybody's guess. Triton, with a whole lot more experience indoors, picks up a racing win on night number 1, putting his brother away, but Montana was not to be outdone as we move on into freestyle highlights here. The Plain Crazy Chevrolet out of Lawtons, New York, getting things kicked off in freestyle action. Remember, there's 7 trucks here. This field definitely one where it was anybody's ball game, but there were a couple of guys in this field overall who probably had the best shot. Montana, as new as he is, was one of them. Getting another stoppie. That one much better than the one he laid down in his wheelie competition run. But something I'd like to point out here is, watch as he goes through this weekend. You will see the experience level and his comfortability inside of a tight space like the one here at the MEC, coming up and up and up, and he gets more impressive with each show. Not a bad run here, but not quite what I think he would be looking for by the end of the weekend. Plain crazy, wrapping things up with an opening night freestyle run. Definitely raising the bar, setting the bar for everyone behind him. One of the guys I was personally interested in seeing, though, was R.J. Turner out of Knoxville, Maryland, who definitely raised the bar in freestyle, flying all the way into the end zone in the big Ford out of Maryland. Filling in for Mikey Vauders, who's notoriously very spatially aware. He knows how to throw this truck around, this machine that's the culmination of a lot of years of geometric know-how and processing between Mike Vauders Sr. and Marty Garza, who have been friends for now the better part of almost 4 decades. All that ingenuity, coupled with some of the best drivers in the business, have made this one of the top trucks in the industry. And RJ, for a first time behind the wheel, showed that he is definitely a threat no matter what machine you put him in. He's gone big in smaller arenas than this. He's just getting used to the equipment. And again, this is another guy, as he got used to the truck he was behind the wheel of, we will see it better and better and better as the weekend goes on. Triton Robbins now, Crazy Train out of Lawton's, New York, comes out to wrap things up. And he knew he had his work cut out for him if he wanted to unseat R.J. Turner, who was at this point leading the freestyle competition. Didn't quite get that one into the moonwalk I think he was hoping for, but something that he has an advantage right now, I think, over his brother is his ability to set those stoppies up a little bit quicker. But I can guarantee you, once he and Montana get that move on the same level, it's going to get very interesting when they're in competition together, because one is always going to push the other a little bit harder. Triton wrapping up an awesome freestyle run here in the Michiana Event Center, but it would not quite be enough. The high-flying antics of R.J. Turner would net him the freestyle victory. So 2 of 3 go to Triton Robbins, and the freestyle victory, of course, going to Overkill Evolution. Don't go anywhere. 2 more nights of action to go from here in Shipshewana. Stay with us.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by Monsters Monthly. For up-to-date info, media, and all your other Monster Truck needs, visit monstersmonthly.com. And by Crush This. For a look inside the world of monster trucks, check out Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast.
The great Tar Heel tradition continues. The Darrell Jones Memorial Scooby-Doo Fastest of the Fast and Blown Alcohol Madness return to the Lee County Mud Motorsports Complex, April 22nd and 23rd, featuring an all-out assault on one of the most tradition-rich hill and hold pits in the country, along with the quickest, fastest open class and modified machines on the fast track. 2 days of down and dirty action. Don't miss your chance to see the return of the Fastest of the Fast and Blown Alcohol Madness, April 22nd and 23rd.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by RPM Army. For a wide array of content from across the motorsports world, visit rpmarmy.com. Your high-performance fix on the go.
Back in action on a Saturday afternoon here in Shipshewana, Indiana at the Michiana Event Center. Show number 2 of 3, 2 events here on Saturday, a marathon weekend. And there you see Alan Fenstermaker, who came in on Saturday morning and got right to work trying to diagnose an oil pressure issue on Wicked Sickness. You see the white color of the oil, an indication that a heavy amount of alcohol is getting into the crankcase and causing a potential problem. So far, the truck's been running, though, this weekend. We'll take you through action as it develops. First up in the skills competition, Wicked Sickness and Alan Fenstermaker starting things off strong, not getting quite the lift that he would have liked on that first jump, but as he came around for the second, he was able to set the bar for everyone else. Big hang time, got the front end nice and high in the air, and he knew there was some stiff competition coming up right behind him. Gets challenged by a legend in the sport, Trey Myers out of Brunswick, Maryland, back at the wheel of Iron Warrior.
Self-centering device was driver hits it. You drive up, get your cameras ready. Yeah,
Trey just about matching Alan Fenstermaker, tied him for the moment. But again, a lot of strong competition in this field that included the 2-truck team out of Lawton's, New York, Montana Robbins and Plain Crazy being truck number 1 out of the Robbins team. The big blue Silverado looking good, going for the stoppie. Montana getting better and better at those each time he does them. The final truck in the skills competition, Overkill Evolution. R.J. Turner normally drives the War Wizard out of Knoxville, Maryland, filling in for Mikey Vodders, who is back home in Canada right now with restrictions. But we will see Mikey again later this year. R.J., though, living up to the hype when he rolled in here in Overkill Evolution, looking good. It's show number 2.
Wheelie, are you ready? Get your cameras.
Gets the stop. He's still working on the rhythm of it, but this guy can drive. A lot of spatial awareness over the years driving the War Wizard, and that move right there netted him the Show 2 wheelie competition win. We move on in to round number 1 of racing. Black Stallion, Michael Vodders out of Hagerstown, Maryland, the patriarch of the Vodders Motorsports clan, a legend in monster trucks, going nose to nose with one of the newest generation of drivers, a second generation driver, Triton Robbins in Crazy Train. And Vodders with a problem with the rear steering would go down to the train and almost make contact with him as he was backing out of the wall there. Robbins finished his run. Heads up driving for Triton Robbins, getting on the brakes and locking that thing up. You heard him blow the horn. Now we move on into the semifinals. Alan Fenstermaker in Wicked Sickness, who knocked out Trey Myers in the Iron Warrior, going nose to nose with Overkill Evolution and R.J. Turner. And watch R.J. work this track. Each run, he pushed the truck a little harder into the corners. It almost caught up with him, though, before the night was over. We'll show you what we mean in a moment. Here you see Triton Robbins and Crazy Train now moving into stage, going nose to nose with his brother in Plain Crazy. This would be an awesome matchup and one we had already seen in the championship race on night number 1. Nearly identical chassis, and you can see the 2 different driving styles those brothers have. When Montana finally gets that big win over Triton, what will the dynamic be like on that team? We know those guys get along great. They're family off the track. When they're on the track, they put the war paint on. And speaking of war paint, that right there, that little nudge that Triton just gave to R.J. Turner set something off in his head. He said, there is no way that train has beaten me across the finish line. Watch this run from Overkill. taking a big chance, but it paid off for him. R.J. Turner by about a half a truck length knocks off night number 1 race winner Triton Robbins in Crazy Train. So he's 2 of 3 competitions here on this Saturday afternoon in the Hoosier State Overkill Evolution, your show number 2 racing champion. Now, RJ working to try to alleviate a little issue that they were having with the rear brakes. The rear brakes were binding, and you'll notice that that rotor glows quite a bit during his freestyle. He wasn't riding the brakes. Something was going on back there. They had to work to try to figure it out. But in the meantime, we get back onto the track. Alan Fenstermaker in Wicked Sickness Heat is having a little bit of trouble, it seemed like, with the rear steering, but he was able to lay down a solid run to open things up. Almost caught an edge right there. Alan Fenstermaker not quite getting the run he hoped for on the tacky soil on the floor of the Michiana Event Center. Set the bar, but I know he was looking for a little more. Still had a third show to go to try to make up for that run, but take nothing away from him. He was running hard. Now, Trey Myers, the legend, at the wheel of the new Iron Warrior as of 2019. Remember, though, this is the name that Trey Myers bought from Glenn Bolin all those years ago, and Trey really got this name to the forefront of the sport as he ran alongside Mike Potter Sr. for many, many years. Trey jumping back behind the wheel, getting his feet back under him, getting the feel, and you can see right there he has not lost a thing as he puts it up on 2 and sets it back down. Went from a cantilever chassis to what was originally Black Stallion 2000 all the way to this Eddie Majka chassis that he's running here this weekend in the Hoosier State. Here you see Richie Yatsko in the newly redesigned higher education cool bus out of Front Royal, Virginia. The bus out of Hagerstown, Maryland, part of the Vodders Motorsports team. Just trying to get a feel for the changes that were made on this. No more air springs on this bus. It runs a full set of overtime shocks. In fact, those shocks belong to another truck from that team originally. Now, having rebuilt them, R.J. Turner and Mike Vodders completely rebuilt that set of shocks. And that truck does look like it's working pretty good, but right now it's kind of a shakedown weekend. We will see more of that bus throughout the year. Stay with us. More to come from Shipshewana.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, welcome to Wild Man Adventures. For the Silver Lake Sand Dragway. There really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels.
Oh, it's slippery as all get out of.
Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter. Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo. Gotta check it out. This week we're gonna go down memory lane.
Freestyle at the Michiana Event Center, bringing you the highlights right now from the No Limits Monster Truck Tour 2022. And here's the guy I've been calling the legend, the safety clean Black Stallion, Mike Vodders, out of Hagerstown, Maryland. And I mentioned Trey Meyer being a very important figure in this sport. This guy right here may be one of the most important. He is responsible for bringing forward some of the best suspension technology that came out of the 90s and continued to develop with the trucks on into the early 2000s, all the way to the present. And you're seeing the best of the best nowadays, things that no one ever thought these trucks would do. This guy had his hands in developing a lot of that technology. Vodder's wrapping up a strong run to take the lead in freestyle, and he knew he'd have to go hard because right behind him, Montana Robbins and Plain Crazy out of Watkins, New York. As you saw in the wheelie competition, Robbins getting better and better at putting that truck on the razor's edge. He's trying to push that truck a little further each time he does one of those stoppies. He's gotten really good at getting sky wheelies out of this thing, and he's not afraid to air it out. But something that he's gotten incredibly good at is his spatial awareness, and that's very important as he has just recently started running this truck indoors. Almost put the insignia on the ground, the bow tie just grazing the dirt. His brother was up right behind him, and Bob said, as I mentioned before, their father, the harder Montana pushes, the harder Triton's going to have to push, and that scares him to death because he's got a lot invested in these two trucks. One of the advantages that Triton has had in freestyle and skills competitions this weekend is that he's not lining up every one of his sky wheelie hits off the back of that racing. He's actually getting just a little bit wild with it as the truck kicks off to the left and right. This right here, though, becoming his specialty, getting the moonwalk. We saw him last year literally put that smokestack in the ground and drive out of it. So we know the truck is capable of going way past vertical and coming back. Triton, though, laying down a very strong run in this freestyle competition, and he would need to. Robbins doing exactly what he had to do because the guy coming up right behind him was none other than the 2015 World Freestyle Championship machine being driven by the fill-in driver, RJ Turner out of Knoxville, Maryland. RJ, though, very familiar with this piece of equipment. He has had a hand in keeping it on the road throughout the years. Some people don't know he's one of the best-kept secrets of the Vodder's Motorsports camp. Though he doesn't normally drive the truck, he's just really getting his first feel of it. He says the truck lands almost like his truck. The seat's a little bit different, and it does not have a spool in the front or rear. Runs a locker in the back, so he's just trying to get the hang of wheeling around indoors. But you can see another very spatially aware driver here in this new generation of drivers that has started to master this industry and really bring it to the next level. RJ laying it down here in the Hoosier State. Saw the Robbins family do it. He knew he was going to have to push it. A wild stoppie right there for Overkill Evolution, bouncing on those front China tires, but would he have enough at the end of this run to get past Triton Robbins in Crazy Train? Finishing up an awesome run in Overkill Evolution. The crowd loved it, but being answered, it was not quite enough to knock out Triton Robbins. And it's an optical illusion that he's almost hitting that speaker. That thing is actually a little ways away from that ramp, but it sure looks close here on camera. Night number 2, event number 3. getting underway as the trucks fired up and headed out of the tunnel for intros. We were in for an awesome show. These guys had a whole week after this event when they packed him in the trailer, take him down the road to get things fixed. Alan Fenstermaker in Wicked Sickness, though, may have bitten off more than he could chew on this run. Hard landing right there on the right front when he comes back around for his second hit. Keep your eye on that right front tire. You see the right front locked up. Fenstermaker absolutely exploded. The sun gear, the planetary gears, everything inside that right front corner. These guys had their work cut out for them, and the big question was, could they make it back for any competition? We knew they were out for racing, but there was a question as to whether they could make it back out for freestyle. You can see right here the problem they're having is the flange on the wheel will not go past the now ballooned planetary hub. When he blew it up, it literally blew out the sides of the hub. And as I said, they had their work cut out for him trying to get back into this competition. Trey Myers, again, out of Brunswick, Maryland, the big, bad Iron Warrior. Matt Cody really has been doing this name proud. Trey back at the wheel again, just getting his feet wet for the first time in this truck in a while. Good to see him back at the wheel of that machine. Mike Fodders, not one to be outdone out of Hagerstown, Maryland. You can see, wanted a little more than that, but his years of competition in hockey arenas for the Thunder Nationals really went to work here as he got some awesome sky wheelies off the dirt ramps. The Robbins family back on the track. Montana Robbins out of Lawtons, New York, the big blue Silverado, the Empire Flyer, opening up as he had been all weekend with the sky wheelie and then moving on to that center popper ramp. What would he do this time? Again, every time he comes out, he pushes his brother a little harder. Bob was biting his nails on this one. Got it up there, not quite as far as he did during the freestyle, the previous event, but again, good competition between family members here, and it makes it that much harder on everybody else in the field because when the two brothers push each other, everybody else in the field has to go that much harder. Triton Robbins now trying to outdo Montana, who's sitting in the lead in the wheelie competition. Nice controlled stoppie into a near perfect moonwalk back up and over the popper ramp, and that would net him the show number 3 wheelie competition victory. We're not quite done yet. Racing and freestyle from show number 3 on the way. Stay with us.
Listen up. It doesn't matter if you just watch your first show or you're a longtime fan of the sport and you want to know more about monster trucks, well, tune into the Throttle Out Show on Monday and Thursday nights, live on our YouTube channel at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. You'll get the inside scoop and all the behind-the-scenes footage in monster trucks and soon-to-be all other motorsports. Life is better when your foot is to the floor, so remember, when in doubt, throttle out.
Welcome back to the MEC, Shipshewana, Indiana, the Michiana Event Center for the final night of action in front of the crowd, kicking off the 2022 No Limits Monster Truck Tour. You saw Montana Robbins pulling to the starting line. He goes toe-to-toe with a legend Trey Myers in Iron Warrior, a pair of Eddie chassis machines with completely different setups. This would be an interesting one. Pick your favorite because it was anybody's ball game. Both of them going deep in the first corner. Montana Robbins, though, able to get away quicker. Who would get the best drive off the final corner? Robbins trying to run down Myers, but it wasn't going to happen. Iron Warrior with a first-round victory. Montana Robbins, though, would come back once again against a legend from the Botters Motorsports camp, the Overkill Evolution machine being driven by R.J. Turner. Another O-liner taking on the Empire Flyer in the semifinals.
All right, we're good.
Turner going way wide in that first corner. The dirt a little bit wet over there, and now you can see he's having steering problems. He would take it right into the pits. The Empire Flyer loses in the first round, comes back as a fast loser, and rebounds to go into a championship race. Who would he take on, though? Would it be the machine that knocked him out in round number 1 or his brother? There you see Trey Myers in Iron Warrior. That Eddie Matchka chassis with the overtime shocks. Big Ford horsepower in the back going toe-to-toe with the big block Chevy horsepower. Another Eddie Matchka chassis, the Crazy Train out of Watkins, New York. The vehicle we called Chattanooga Choo Choo last year. Who would get the win here? Myers almost putting the truck on its side. He saves it, but that was very costly as Triton Robbins was so quick on this track. It would be brother against brother, the third time this weekend that we would see the train and the plane go nose to nose for the championship here in Shipshewana for the No Limits Monster Truck Tour. You can see as they pulled out, Triton with the locomotive leading the freight train into the building. Montana staging on that tunnel side where he had been most of the weekend. The lane choice did not seem particularly important as the track was actually fairly even from the racing side. The backs of those ramps are a little bit different, but that wouldn't matter here as these guys were clearing them. The big thing in this final round is, though they have very different driving styles, as I mentioned before, these are two nearly identically set up machines. It comes down to the driver in this final round battle, brother against brother. Both of them with trouble on that first turn. The pressure is on. Triton, even with a mistake, would pick up another victory and another racing championship at the wheel of Crazy Train. Now back in the pit area. Here you can see as they battle to try to get this truck back in action. You saw Alan Fenstermaker, the disgust on his face as, again, he is tired. He is working himself to death to try to get this truck back in action here in Shipshewana. And there you see what is left of the, what's just shrapnel now of the right front corner planetary assembly. And there you see the help they got. Mike Potter, Sr., driver of the Safety Clean Black Stallion, coming over between rounds to get them back in the action, trying to take some of that material down so they could get that tire back on. The question was, would it take? The answer was yes. And Fenstermaker comes out and goes right after that big Silverado 2500 that's parked down there on the wall side of the arena. Fenstermaker running this truck in two-wheel drive, having to hit things with a lot more momentum. Try to keep that front end up in the air, and you can see he didn't let it scare him. Fenstermaker opening up Freestyle in a wild fashion, not able to get quite what he wanted, considering the truck only had rear-wheel drive, but he still turned the crowd on, smashing up some metal here on the floor of the Michiana Event Center. Setting the bar for this guy, the guy who helped him get back in action, saw what Fenstermaker did. He knew he had to go right after that big pickup. Down here on the far side of the arena, the safety clean black stallion, Mike Vodders out of Hagerstown, Maryland. The Vodders chassis machine, that is a machine he designed and built himself, as was the previous truck, the truck that Trey is to drive, and you can see how tough the Vodders Motorsports equipment is as he stuffed the front end down in between the back of the race ramp and the pickup truck. Really working those Clark corners to death. This right here was his specialty. Vodders loves hitting raw iron. He loves iron walling it, but there wasn't much left there to hit. Vodders laying down one heck of a freestyle to raise the bar. He would take the lead. For the guy coming up right after him, it would be R.J. Turner out of Knoxville, Maryland, trying to pick up where he left off. Right there, though, you see him run into a problem. When he landed, the rear steering started acting funny on him, and that brake problem reared its head again. Getting some big air, but the run would not last very long. Only about 4 or 5 moves total in the whole run, and that would hurt any chance he had of taking the lead, though he was spectacular while he was on the track. Now, Montana Robbins, plain crazy, out of Lawtons, New York, trying to set the stage for his brother. He knew that if he could just lay down a run that Triton could not get past, he could take the freestyle victory. Mike Vodders was sitting on top of the field when Montana came out. Montana riding out that stoppie right there. Still doesn't have that moonwalk. That's the next stage for him. But Montana, with this run, keeping the momentum up in spite of that little reverse he had to do over between the ride trucks just to get back out on the floor. Montana Robbins laid down one that Triton Robbins knew he was going to have to go after. Wrapping up an awesome run in the Silverado. Right behind him, Triton Robbins came out and blasted the course, but it only lasted one move as he snaps the right front spindle. Not the way at all that he wanted to end his weekend. His brother wasn't happy about it either. He wanted to beat him straight up, but he did push Triton that much harder. That truck got punished here in Shipshewana, and that team was utterly dominant this weekend. The closest second to them being Overkill Evolution. R.J. Turner, who's really showing a lot inside of that Overkill Evolution machine. We'll see how he does later this season, but the big winner on this night was your freestyle champion, Plain Crazy. Congratulations to all our champions here in Shipshewana. The 2022 season just getting underway. Next time we will see you from the Wicomico County Civic Center in Salisbury, Maryland, with more from the No Limits Monster Truck Tour and a stacked lineup. You will not want to miss that coverage. We will see you next time.